Rude passenger snatches white girl's seat. You won't believe what happens next. Madeline Carter was on her first solo international flight. At 19, she had just finished her first year at college and was traveling to visit her grandmother in London. Excited yet slightly nervous, she clutched her boarding pass and backpack, scanning the airplane cabin for her seat 14C. She barely had time to settle before a gruff voice interrupted. "Hey, that's my seat," a middle-aged man snapped, shoving his arm into the row. "Move along, kid." Madeline froze. She tried to explain politely that 14C was hers. The man ignored her and plopped down, clearly satisfied with asserting dominance. Other passengers murmured quietly but said nothing. Madeline's heart sank. At that moment, she felt a tap on her shoulder. A young flight attendant, Sarah, smiled reassuringly. "Let's sort this out," she said, gesturing for the rude passenger to step aside. But the man refused. The situation escalated. Tensions grew. Just when it seemed the moment would turn ugly, something unexpected happened. Across the aisle, a quiet, unassuming elderly woman named Helen had been watching. She leaned over to Madeline and whispered, "Don't worry, dear. Some people just need a little reminder of humanity." Before Madeline could respond, Helen pulled out her tablet and discreetly called the flight supervisor. Within minutes, the rude passenger was politely asked to move to another seat further back, his behavior documented for airline review. Madeline's relief was palpable. But the story didn't end there. During takeoff, Helen struck up a conversation with Madeline. She shared stories of her travels, the kindness she'd received, and the simple truth that compassion often comes in small, quiet actions. As the plane reached cruising altitude, a tiny crisis arose. A young boy near Madeline's row began coughing violently, clearly panicked. Without hesitation, Madeline jumped into action, offering water, calming words, and working with the flight crew to ensure the boy was okay. Her calmness, empathy, and courage reminded everyone around her of the good in people, even in stressful moments. By the time the flight landed in London, Madeline had made an unexpected circle of friends. Helen, Sarah the flight attendant, and even a few passengers who had silently admired her composure. She realized that standing up for herself was important, but showing kindness to others, even strangers, was what truly defined strength. Madeline hugged Helen at the gate. "I didn't expect today to be like this," she said, smiling through tears. Helen patted her hand. "Life has a funny way of teaching lessons, dear. Sometimes it only takes one act of courage or kindness to inspire everyone around you." As Madeline stepped out into the London sunlight, she felt lighter, stronger, and more connected to the world than ever. What began as a humiliating moment had transformed into a reminder. Even in a world that can feel rude or unfair, compassion, courage, and selflessness always leave a mark. After landing, Madeline felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. What had started as a stressful, embarrassing moment had somehow transformed into an experience that left her feeling empowered. Helen insisted on accompanying her to her grandmother's house, turning the unexpected flight incident into a small adventure. On the cab ride, Helen shared wisdom from a lifetime of travel. "You see, dear, the world will throw rude people your way. But how you respond, your kindness, your courage creates ripples. You just witnessed it." Madeline nodded, reflecting on the flight. Not only had the rude passenger been confronted, but she had also seen the quiet heroism of Helen, the flight crew, and even the passengers who had silently supported her. And most importantly, she had discovered something inside herself she hadn't realized, a capacity to act, calmly and compassionately, even under pressure. When they arrived at her grandmother's flat, Madeline was greeted with hugs and laughter. But before she could settle in, her phone buzzed. A notification from the airline. The rude passenger had been formally reported, and the airline thanked her for her patience and cooperation. "Your actions may have prevented something worse," the message read. Madeline smiled, realizing that even small courage can have significant consequences. Later that evening, she sat by the window, looking out at the London skyline, and reflected on the day's events. She realized that life often puts people in uncomfortable situations not to humiliate them, but to show them their own strength and the power of kindness. Helen, noticing her quiet reflection, said softly, "Remember, Madeline, standing up for yourself is important, but what truly changes the world is how you lift others while doing it." Madeline nodded, understanding in her heart that this lesson wasn't just for today's flight. It was a guide for her life. From that day forward, she resolved to act with courage and compassion wherever she went, knowing that even small gestures can create profound impact. As night fell over London, Madeline felt a warm sense of hope. What began as a rude encounter had transformed into a story of resilience, humanity, and unexpected friendships. And she knew deep down that she would carry this lesson with her forever. Kindness, courage, and empathy are the real markers of strength, and sometimes the world responds in ways we least expect.